Hello everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to this video. I'm just going to check real quick because we've been having some technical difficulties and I want to make sure that this is coming through audio wise for you guys correctly because we've had some audio issues. Hello everybody, thank you so much. Alright, and that's working for me. Copper Nightmare is also here. This is the introduction of her. Let's make sure her audio is working. Copper?
Hello.
Gotta wait for the lag to come through. Yep. Gosh, you sound clear as day. Okay. Hello, everybody. Today we are talking about Superman. And I'm very excited for it. This is a movie that I've been anticipating for a little while. Not necessarily because I've been excited for the movie, but more I'm really excited to see how the public takes the film. Because I've been worrying about superhero fatigue. I've studied film a little bit, and I've seen, obviously what happened with westerns going the way of spaghetti westerns, and I see that trend starting to somewhat happen with superhero movies. And I hope that's not true. That's my hope, is that that's not true. And this is a good example. I think this is a good litmus test to see, is superhero fatigue really setting in, or regardless of the quality of this film, the opening weekend. Like, are people gonna show up for a Superman movie? Because I think if we can't get people to have a good opening weekend for a Superman movie, then the superhero genre is probably in dire straits at that point. But the way we're gonna do this is we're gonna watch two videos from two YouTubers that I like. They are very brutal. They dismantle film. They're funny guys. They like to just rip into stuff. And so take everything they say with a grain of salt. Uh, I really like to look at it from a perspective of, if they hate a movie, it's probably a mid movie, maybe average. If they love a movie, it's probably a masterpiece. Like, it's probably fantastic. So take that all into consideration while we watch this. But let's start with the first one, Nerdrotic, and after this video, we'll actually read an article from The Guardian. So we'll get a different kind of perspective on whether this is a good movie or not, and whether me and Copper Nightmare should spend the money to go see it. Copper, you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Superman is an immigrant, and if you don't like that, then you're not American.
MAGA today was getting a little upset that he called Superman an immigrant. I wanted to get your reaction.
Somebody needs a hug. It's just a movie, guys.
Who else is seeing this?
Well, with the satellite link up, just about everybody.
You said it's an immigrant story. It's a political movie. MAGA today is going nuts. What do you have to say to MAGA?
I think this movie's for everybody. I don't have anything to say to anybody.
that.
Like, I'm not here to judge people, you know.
Okay.
You may continue.
You know, I think this is a movie about kindness, and I think that's something everyone can relate to.
Good for you, sir. Happy spirit. See, he doesn't really want to hurt anybody.
I kind of relate to Lex the most, so I don't think of him as that evil. I just think he's doing his thing.
He's like a naughty cat. I always tell him not to.
Oh, hold on now. Let's not be too hard on Frisky, okay?
I mean, of taking these characters and we...
Wait, what was that? Was that a cat on peeing on, like, the red carpet premiere?
Was it peeing or was it pooping?
Let's go back. God, I don't want to analyze it too much.
Let's not be too hard on Frisky, okay?
I mean, of...
I have no idea. Is that real? Is that real? There's no way, right? There's no way. Oh my god, it did poop. He finally decides to put Crypto, the super dog, in a movie, and a white cat shows up to the red carpet premiere before everybody gets there and is like, yeah? Well, I think this movie is shit. twice. Oh my goodness.
Such a cat thing.
That is a cat thing to do. My God. Well, I hope that's not like an omen or anything.
Right.
Taking these characters and what's their central concept that kind of makes them them, and then let's change everything else besides them.
I don't know how I feel about that.
James Gunn wants people to see Superman fighting for truth, justice, and, well, you know the rest of it.
Nerderotic.com.
Friends, it's been a wild and crazy summer so far. We've had everything from Dollar Store Civil War, followed by Temu World War III, Diddy is free, a mysterious client list is missing, Ukraine, Israel, Palestine, and none of the online discourse surrounding these topics holds a candle to Superman. And you can almost understand, considering all of the hubris, ignorance, incompetence, and unforced errors that have led to the third reboot of The Man of Steel in 20 years from America's dumbest company, Warner Brothers. After David Zaslav mercilessly and justifiably cleansed himself of all the executives responsible for the Snyder fiasco, he brought in the very humble James Gunn, who admittedly inherited the total dumpster fire that was the DCEU. Now, it certainly didn't help that James Gunn's first public act as head of DC was to fire Henry Cavill, right after The Rock talked Henry into being in Black Adam, a decision.
I feel like I kind of need to just say I think he's right in that was a mistake. Like, I'm not saying Henry Cavill needed to be your Superman for the next 10 years or anything, but I don't think you just fire him. I mean, there's got to be some kind of a creative way that you could work that in there and allow him to, you could do like an animated thing and he could like voice an animated version of Superman. I don't know. Like, you could have gotten creative, I think, and you could have tried to figure it out. Oh my gosh, I am not screen sharing, or am I? Let's check. Let's make sure.
I don't see anything, so.
Yeah, it's all working. You had me tripped up there for a second. I was like, no, we're not having more technical difficulties, are we?
Yes.
No, we're all good. We're all good, everybody. We're all good. Oh, goodness. Okay.
The Warner executives and James Gunn were certainly aware of. The fans were not happy, but I think at least they could understand if James Gunn wanted to start with a clean slate, which turned out not to be the case. James Gunn and company announced they were not only doing a Superman movie, they were creating an all-new DC universe, announcing multiple projects, some of which have already been canceled. And it turns out they would feature some holdovers like John Cena as Peacemaker, Viola Davis as Amanda Waller.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, right? I'm not happy that you fired Henry Cavill, but at the same time, I get it, right? Like, you want to start fresh, but you didn't start fresh. You pulled over the people and the actors and the actresses you wanted from the DCU, and then just fired the Superman we all loved. Like, the best part of the DCU. I hope this movie's good.
A recast Nathan Fillion, a recast Sean Gunn, a recast Jason Momoa as Lobo, which is great. And of course we can't forget James Gunn's wife. And if that wasn't bad enough, there was the movies they had already released and the movies they had yet to release. After their last hits Aquaman and Shazam to a lesser extent, they released Birds of Prey, which flopped. Wonder Woman 84, flopped. The Suicide Squad, directed by James Gunn, flopped. Black Adam, flopped. Shazam 2.
Hey. That Suicide Squad movie by Gunn was fun, and I understand that it lost money, but it was still fun, and I enjoyed that film.
I still haven't seen it.
Really?
Yeah.
You remember in the Flash TV show, you remember The Thinker? The guy...
Vaguely.
The guy who tried to make himself like a super genius?
I think so, yeah.
He's in it, too. Like, there's all kinds of... Like, there's so many random characters. I love it. I love seeing it. It's fun. John Cena as Peacemaker is hilarious in that movie. And I actually like his show too. I thought it was pretty good.
2 flopped. The Flash,
didn't realize
James
there
Gunn's
was a
favorite
show.
superhero movie, flopped.
Oh my gosh, we gotta watch at least we gotta watch like the opening credits of the show. It is fantastic. Oh my god, you know what? I'm just gonna show you. I'm just gonna show you right now. Don't copyright me. Don't copyright hit me, guys. Like, listen to that. Look at this stuff. You see it? That's great. Oh my god. We will have to watch it. We will have to watch it. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. It's so funny.
Flopped. Blue Beetle, flopped. Aquaman 2, flopped. Joker
I'll have
2
to add it
flopped.
to our
And
list.
the only hit amongst all of them was The Batman, a movie that has nothing to do with James Gunn's DCU, but at least Matt Reeves just handed in the script a couple of days ago, and maybe it will be finished sometime before Robert Pattinson dies of old age. Now, I don't think I'm going out on a limb here by saying the DCU and Superman hasn't really gotten off to the strongest of starts, and it's had its...
I did not know that Matt Reeves did that. That's actually epic. That is epic. Have you seen The Batman?
Which one? There are so
the
many.
Robert Pattinson one.
Yeah, actually I have. I did see that one.
That's what they're talking about. That's the script for the sequel. Which there was some tension between Reeves and Gunn, and there was a lot of questions about like whether or not he was gonna allow Matt Reeves to keep making the Batman movies that he was making, even though James Gunn's trying to restart everything. And that's pretty cool. If he turned in the script, that doesn't necessarily mean anything, but that means that at least for Matt Reeves' end of things, he has finished the script. And pre-production is hard. You know, there's a lot that goes into it, and he did the biggest step of it, which is write the whole script. So that makes me excited.
Well, that's cool.
That makes me excited. Oh my god, look how cute Crypto is. I'm not gonna lie, he looks so cute.
Problems. So despite what James Gunn says about James Gunn's DCU, Superman needs to not only be a hit, it needs to be a walk-off home run. And as far as the marketing for this film is concerned, which is really important on a scale from Rachel Zegler to 10, I'd give it a 6. If you take James Gunn out of the equation, I'd give it an 8. But at least as far as insufferable political Hollywood was concerned, they pretty much stayed out of it until now. Thanks to Variety's Mark Milken, the bane of the adult pretender and friend of YouTubers everywhere.
James has said that Superman is an immigrant story, that it is political. MAGA today was getting a little upset that he called Superman an immigrant. I wanted to get your reaction.
Somebody needs a hug. It's just a movie, guys. It's just a movie.
It is exactly what the movie is about, I think.
don't like when people say stuff like that about the thing that they created or like are working on. Like, that's what I want to hear from like a guy who's just working like a 9 to 5. You know, it's just a job or whatever. But like, you're making like a $200 million movie. Like, that's a big deal. You know, I don't like when athletes are like, it's just a game. Like, yeah, it's just a game to me, but you're making like how much a year to play it? The least I want is for you to like really care about it and like think it's like an important thing. Maybe I'm asking too much, but like,
I feel like that should be like a requirement.
right? Like, it's not like you're making $16 an hour, which is a respectable amount, you know, in certain circles, and I respect that. But like, that's the kind of person that I expect to be like, it's been a hard day or whatever. Somebody says something to me at work, and I'm just, it's just a job. But you made how much money, Nathan Fillion, to act as Guy Gardner, Green Lantern in this movie? It's not just a movie, and it's probably not just a movie to a lot of people who haven't even seen it yet, to just care about what they've seen in the trailers and these actors and like are so excited for this. Like I think that's very dismissive of the people that really care about these films.
I agree.
We support
that's a fair thing to say.
our people. You know, we love.
Let me check something real quick. Am I sharing my screen with you? I don't think I'm sharing it with you. So did you see any of the Peacemaker stuff?
No, I tried to tell you.
I was so excited. Okay, can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna give you snippets because I don't want to get copyright hit.
Okay.
Yeah, it's that everything.
Oh wait, it's off to the side. I only see half of that screen.
Oh, okay. Here you go. The opening.
Oh goodness.
It kills me every time. It kills me. It's so good. Oh, I gotta go to the end though. Gotta go to the end. You gotta see the eagle. You gotta see the eagle fly in. That's his eagle. It's his pet eagle. Eagly. Yeah, he named his pet
really
eagle
funny.
Eagly. Yeah, we need to watch. It is really funny. It's great. I don't want to get copyright claimed or anything, but like, Peacemaker's not the best show I've ever seen or anything. Like, I don't want anybody watching this to come away thinking like, God, this guy just loves Peacemaker. I'm not going that far. I'm just telling you, it's a funny show, and it's gonna make you laugh, and that intro is one of the best opening credits I have ever seen. It is so funny. It sets the tone for the whole show.
Love our immigrants. We love. Yes, Superman is an immigrant, and yes,
he is.
The people that we support in this country are immigrants, and if you don't like that, then you're not American.
Wait. Wait. If a baby is adopted by U.S. citizens, are they a citizen? Yes, they are. Are they still an immigrant? No. A child adopted by U.S. citizens will not be considered an immigrant. They would meet the legal requirements for citizenship as long as they were adopted before their 18th birthday. Superman is not an immigrant. He is.
Was he legally adopted though, or was he? Did they just
He has
take
a
him in?
social security number. He like has a job. He had to be. I mean, there has to be some precedent for, we don't know where this baby came from, but we found a baby on the side of the road. You know, there has to be a precedent for that. You know, that somebody could still adopt the baby. Now, the real truth is the U.S. would probably not let the people who found the baby on the side of the road keep the baby. That I don't know. That's the whole thing. But I mean, it certainly seems like Superman would not be considered an immigrant, at least not legally.
That was certainly the last thing James Gunn and the Warner Brothers executives needed, but not to.
Although if you're like a person living in Metropolis, right, and Superman just shows up as an adult and is like, I'm an alien from Krypton. I'm the last of my species. To you, that's when Superman showed up. So yes, Superman would be an immigrant. I guess I should say Superman's an immigrant. Clark Kent is not.
Oh, there you go.
Worry. The Warner
good
Brothers hand-picked social media
distinguishment there.
influencers who were offered a free screening and free drinks are here to the rescue with a diverse set of unique and authentic reactions.
Hashtag Superman is a triumph for the new DC universe. It's a comic book movie brought to beautiful live-action life, brimming with hope and fulfillment. It actually elicited tears of joy from me. Hashtag Superman is a triumph for the new DC universe. It's a comic book movie brought to beautiful live-action life. Hashtag Superman is the perfect comic book movie. It felt like I was at my local comic shop reading a Superman book as the characters leapt off the pages. And movie Scoops. It's a comic book brought to beautiful live-action life, brimming with hope and fulfillment. It actually elicited tears of joy from me. Hashtag Superman is fun, heartfelt, and feels like a comic book come to life. Hashtag Superman is a thoroughly entertaining reboot, yielding many sequences that feel like they were ripped straight from a Golden Age comic book. Hashtag Superman left me with a giant, happy, dumb grin. David Cornsweet embodies Superman in such a perfect way. This is an actual comic book movie come to life. Hashtag Superman.
Man, they're all like the same thing. Oh no, did they buy and pay for these reviews? They are all kind of saying the same thing, aren't they?
Yeah, a little bit.
David Cornsweet steals the show.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time we've seen one of these big companies buy and pay for reviews early before the movie comes out. And I say buy and pay for it, they're not like, here, I'm going to give you this money if you make this post. It's more like, hey, let me fly you out here and wine and dine you so you make this post. And then, you know, there has to be some reason they're all saying like the same thing. So I don't know how it all works. I've never been a part of that part of the industry or anything, but it certainly seems like everybody got some kind of a memo or something.
I would hope so. A cinematic triumph. James Gunn's hashtag Superman is his magnum opus, rating 10 out of 10 from the...
Okay, I'm just throwing it out there. Guardians of the Galaxy is James Gunn's magnum opus. You're not going to change that. Like, he has to make a movie better than Guardians 1, and I'm not sure he can do that, because I'm not sure Guardians 1 is like a replicatable movie. Guardians 2 and 3 are fun. I really like 3 in a lot of ways, but like they don't, in my opinion, really even hold a candle to the first Guardians movie. My God, that scene at the end when like he's holding the stone and he looks over and he sees his mom and he takes her hand like he did in the beginning of the movie, and we come full circle, like, but it's actually Gamora's hand and it saves his life. Like, what a powerful scene. It's emotional. It really hits. I guess I'll hold my tongue a little bit on this because I have not seen Superman yet. So maybe this is good. You know, maybe this is Guardians 1 good. We're all about to find out. I mean, it came out tonight.
Completely objective
Good to have
everything
optimism.
DCU.
So after all of the hype and the genuine reactions from the hand-picked Warner Brothers influencers, the polite discourse between the Snyder fans and the Gunn fans and the general James Gunn-ness of it all, how was the movie? Well, it turns out James Gunn's Superman is Superman's James Gunn, and not in a good way, and I'm a fan of the guy's work. Concern's work, and a guy well known for successfully taking misfit characters from the comic books and bringing them to life, including a talking raccoon, do this with a traditional superhero? Can a guy known for ensemble pieces have a singular focus on that traditional superhero? Can a guy known for irreverent humor that led to the creation of the now trademark Marvel humor dial it down and make something fun yet earnest like Iron Man, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, and yes, Donner's Superman? And after watching James Gunn's Superman, those concerns were justified. Because, and you can call me crazy for thinking this, I think a Superman movie should focus on Superman, which it didn't, and feature a man that is super, who wasn't. Now, don't get me wrong, David Cornsweet seems like a good guy, and I think he looks like Superman and at times acts like Superman and might embody the character once somebody gives him a good script. Doesn't that sound familiar? Am I right, Henry and Brandon? Many of the concerns with the clips and trailers released over the last couple of months, and by the way, if you've seen them all, you've seen the first half of the movie, were Superman gets his ass kicked too much, but maybe they required a little more context, and after seeing it with context, Superman gets his ass kicked too much. But that's not the only problem, and you're going to hear this from a lot of people, including the ones who like it. Tonally, it's an absolute mess. Superman's James Gunn is a direct response and a polar opposite of the Snyderverse. The problem is, it's a complete overcorrection direction, and it doesn't really know what it wants to be. But the good news is it's not the worst superhero film this year, and it might end up being the best, which admittedly isn't saying very much. The better news is it isn't woke. Unfortunately, that isn't enough. But the criticisms or praise of this film will be based solely on the work, which was a lot like what we did when we argued in the comic shop, and I appreciate that. I've heard everybody's pal Tyrone Magnus compare it to Thor: Love and...
That is huge praise from Gary. I mean, Gary does not often compliment these kinds of movies, even a little bit. That's kind of high praise from him, that he's like, hey, you know, I will admit it does feel like a comic. You know, maybe not one I liked, but one we'll talk about in the shop. And we'll debate over. That's high praise, I feel like, coming from Gary. He used to own a comic shop.
Well,
Thunder,
cool.
which I don't think is an inaccurate description, but I think a better one would be tonally. It's a lot closer to Black Adam and all the previous DCEU films. And man, I really wanted to like this movie because I love the idea of moving away from the deconstructed superhero and nihilism and postmodernism and building back up the hero and the bright colors and leaning into the Silver and Bronze Age comics of it all. I'm for all of that and doing something that Marvel has completely moved away from. Embracing the spirit of your source material. But you still have to tell a good story, something those Bronze and Silver Age comics, which get a bad rap, did better than most of modern Hollywood. And it's something we really didn't get with Superman's James Gunn. It was more like a series of things that happened. And this makes me think of a great video out there from Trey Parker and Matt Stone explaining the basics of storytelling.
We can take these beats, which are basically the beats of your outline, and if the words "and then" belong between
I
those
told
beats,
you this.
You're What should happen between every beat that you've written down is either the word therefore or but. Okay, this happens, right?
That's interesting.
And then this happens. No, it should be this happens, and therefore this happens. But this happens, therefore this happens.
No. I don't know what any of it means. Like,
Oh my gosh, Copper, have we not had that exact conversation?
Yes.
That's crazy. I didn't know the South Park guys like had like did a class or something and explained that. South Park is so slept on, especially amongst I think a lot of people nowadays. Like, to be fair, I grew up in the South Park era and they were at their peak when I was, you know, a teenager. So I've watched every South Park episode up to like season 18 or something. But highly slept on. They are very, very good writers, incredible satirists. So that's not great. I don't love when stories do this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens. That is a trope that I really don't like and it's not a movie issue. I think that's just a story writing issue.
Yeah.
I have no clue what it means. I have no clue what any of that stuff ever meant.
That's right, James Gunn has decided to take that advice and do the opposite. As a matter of fact, I'll just break down the plot as it goes in the movie. After an event that happens off screen where Superman stops an invasion from totally not Russia into totally not brown Ukraine or totally not Israel into totally not Palestine, I didn't see it that way. But if some people see Israel portrayed this way, well, maybe some people working on this film are forgetting who signs their checks and who their agents are. And then Krypto saves Superman so the Superman robots can save Superman. And then Superman goes back to Metropolis to get his ass beat by the Hammer of Baravia. And then Lex Luthor, who despises Superman for making humans like him feel insignificant, invades the Fortress of Solitude and steals a message from Jor-El, Lara, and Krypto. And then Lex Luthor and the Engineer decrypt the message from Jor-El and Lara and find out that Superman was sent there to conquer and have many wives to spread the seed of Krypton.
Nice.
And then Superman and the Justice Gang featuring Guy Gardner.
Excuse me, what did I just hear?
Did he just say many wives?
We're not asking for enough. We have been asking for so long to get a superhero movie where you don't deconstruct the superhero, you build him up. And James Gunn finally comes along and says, okay, I'll get back to doing that. I am going to deconstruct his entire culture and parents, though.
Oh, goodness.
That sucks. That sucks. Nobody's gonna like that. Anybody who isn't a Superman fan will probably not love that, but like won't care all that much. But anybody who's like a Superman fan will be like, excuse me? What did you do to Jor-El? Oh my god. Oh my god. I didn't... Oh.
Gardner, Green Lantern, Mr. Terrific, and Hawkgirl fight a kaiju. And then, after Superman saves a bunch of people from being crushed by the kaiju Mr. Terrific killed, they all turn on him instantly when they find out he was actually sent there to conquer and get himself a harem. Nice. And then Lex convinces the government and General Flag to arrest Superman, who turns himself in. And then Superman gets himself locked up in a pocket dimension with Lex's exes, Metamorpho and his kid, some of Lex's enemies, and a bunch of monkey bots trying to get hashtag super trending. And then Lois Lane and Mr. Terrific save Superman, who saves Metamorpho and his kid. And then Jimmy Olsen is given all the information to exonerate Superman from Miss Tessmacher, who incidentally wants to bang him after she gets mad at Lex for throwing a pencil at her. And then Lex opens up a giant rift that will destroy Metropolis.
No! No, and then!
And then the entire city of Metropolis is evacuated in just about 5 minutes before the mass destruction. And then Superman fights Ultraman, who we find out is a clone of Superman. And then he kills him.
That's not Ultraman. What? Ultraman's
And then
not a
the
clone
invasion of Totally
Superman.
Not Palestine or Totally Not Ukraine is stopped by the Justice Gang. And then Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen expose Lex Luthor as a traitor, and he cries. And then after taking some part in saving the day in his own movie and being reunited with Krypto, we find out that he belongs to Supergirl, who calls Superman a bitch.
What?
Now, I might have left out an and then here or there, but you get the picture. And if you think there's any more depth to the storytelling than what I just read off to you, there isn't. Now, if it seems like I'm being a little hard on this film, I am, because I expect more from a Superman movie from James Gunn. It's not the worst I've seen this year. That still belongs to Emilia Perez. And quite frankly, these are the most difficult movies to review. It's much easier to review something that's really good or really bad. But this one is spectacularly mid and overwhelmingly whelming. Now, there were concerns that Superman...
Okay, remember what I told everybody when we started the this video. If they tell us it's mid, it's probably entertaining. I'm not talking about the quality of the film, but the entertainment value. Whenever these guys tell me it's mid, that is the equivalent of the general audience will find this entertaining.
Featured too many characters, and it featured too many characters. But I'll give it to James Gunn for consistency because they had the same complexity and depth as the plot. I thought Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner was pretty good, along with Anthony Carrigan's Metamorpho, and I thought Mr. Terrific was really good. No, I'm not going to say terrific. I'd like to see more of the Justice Gang in a different movie, and I'm not the only one to point this out, but tonally, they come off just like the Justice Society and Black Adam. Again, proving why mid-movies are the hardest to review of the rest of the additional cast. The best I could say is they're fine, I guess.
Oh my God, was that supposed to be Cat Grant? Was that Cat Grant?
Fine, I guess. The only characters I didn't like were Hawkgirl and the Engineer, obviously. These are the hardest to review of the rest of the...
Is that Cat Grant? That's gotta be Cat Grant. It has to be. With the hair, that has to be Cat Grant.
Additional cast. The best I could say
Lois
is they're
best
fine,
friend.
I guess. The only characters I didn't like were
And
Hawkgirl and the
also
Engineer, obviously,
medium
because they're
over.
women.
Remember, they're just jokes. We're all gonna die soon, and there's no sequel.
And hey, Jimmy Olsen is white again, and his unassuming Babe Magnet character was kind of funny. And Ma and Pa Kent were barely in it, and yes, they were portrayed as a stereotypical country bumpkin couple, but there was one funny scene that played out just like a phone call with my mom, who has never seen a second of my YouTube and thinks I'm on a radio show. But the most significant and only moment between Clark and Jonathan you've already seen online. Oh yeah, Krypto. A lot of people are going to like him. I think they played the joke a little too long, but I didn't mind it. But the one thing I'm completely tired of is these breed swaps. He's supposed to be a lab. And when it comes to Lex Luthor, Nicholas Hoult is a great actor. And he...
Yeah, I don't know this for sure, but I'm pretty sure that's modeled after James Gunn's dog.
Huh.
Yeah.
He has some great moments, including one of the best scenes in the movie when he just shoots a guy in the head. And it was at that point I thought they were going to elevate and take the character somewhere, but this can be said about the entire movie and everyone in it. It just reverts back to its total weirdness. Lots of wasted potential in this, including Rachel Brosnahan's Lois Lane, who's really good and arguably the most developed character in this movie, but she only has 2 real scenes with Clark. The now infamous interview scene, which now that I've seen it with some context, is a little better, and the best moment together between Lois and Clark is undercut by James Gunn humor with a battle going on in the background with the Justice Gang. And this brings us to David Corenswet, who, along with most of the cast in this film, did their best with absolutely nothing. He looks like Superman, he sounds like Superman, and guess what? The costume that I criticized looks pretty good in the movie, although I still hate the new 52 collar.
I really want to hear that. Thank you, because I did not like it initially. I'm still not crazy about it. Looking at it right now, I'm still not crazy about it, personally. But I like to hear from another person that also didn't think it looks good in these types of scenes, that if you actually see it in the movie, it looks better in real time when it's moving around and not just paused. But still, though, I do think it should look good when it's paused. Like, it's one of the most important aspects of the movie. The Superman suit should look awesome.
Rachel Brosnahan are the only 2 characters that are given a chance to be earnest at all, but every single time it's undercut by something. And that something is usually Marvel James Gunn humor. Before the film, I heard a lot of lip service about this being a hopeful Superman. Within the film, I heard a lot of lip service saying Superman is popular, but at no time do I feel like there's any reverence or respect for the character from anybody within the film or making it. Oh, they like him, but again, they don't respect him. I'd also like to remind you that Superman gets kicked in the balls by Ultraman, and they end the movie with Supergirl calling Superman a bitch. He gets his ass kicked the entire movie, and he's portrayed as frustrated and angry. The one positive note is at least he never gives up. But instead of Superman getting his moment of triumph, he just gets handed more moments of exasperation. And that's the biggest tragedy of all. While there is plenty of action in this and Superman is doing plenty of stuff, there's not a single moment that will define him or this movie. And that inherently is the biggest problem with the film, which is the biggest problem with the filmmakers, Superman, including...
You know, that's a good point, right? Because, like, I criticized the Zack Snyder Man of Steel because he snaps Zod's neck. But I do walk out of that movie never forgetting that. And never forgetting that's what the entire movie was building to. It's part of why I walk away liking Man of Steel. I don't even like that Superman did that, but the movie portrayed it in a way where I understood why he had to do that. Or at least the movie made me feel like that was his only option in the moment. And it really is the pivotal moment of that film. And that's concerning if this film does not have that. I think a superhero movie needs to have a couple defining moments. Like, let's take Iron Man, for example. It happens pretty early. It happens, like, what, 40 minutes into the movie when he escapes the cave? Like, that's the defining moment of that movie. He becomes Iron Man, and we will never forget it. Anybody who watched the movie is like, I will never forget seeing that whole scene when, you know, the terrorists come in. That whole thing, that whole sequence is the core of the story that they're trying to tell. The rest of the film is just, I have to, like, correct the mistake I've already gone on the arc of realizing is a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
The very honest and humble James Gunn, who said right before our fan screening that he's always wanted to make a Superman movie, despite the fact that he turned one down in 2018 because he couldn't crack the character, and he was only able to do so a couple of years ago because of the dog Krypto, who, along with Mr. Terrific, arguably had better hero moments than Superman in his own movie. While James Gunn's Superman has its moments and overall a pretty good cast, and while I really appreciate that they tried to embrace the Silver and Bronze Age DC comics, and I highly encourage them to continue doing so, next time try to find somebody more suited for the assignment than James Gunn. And what specific evidence do I have for James Gunn not being right for the assignment? Look no further than Jor-El and Laura, played by Bradley Cooper and that girl from Westworld. Remember their last message to their son that Lex Luthor and the Engineer decrypted, stating that basically they sent Kal-El to conquer Earth? that everyone watching the film thought was faked and they would fix it by the end? Well, they didn't. And that message is, and I quote,
"The people are simple and profoundly confused, weak of mind, spirit, and body, lord over the planet as the last son of Krypton. Dispatch of anyone unable or unwilling to serve you, Kal-El. Take as many wives as you can so your genes and Kryptonians' might and legacy will live on in this new frontier. Do us proud, our beloved son. Rule without mercy."
Fuck this movie. That's arguably, oh hell, it's not even an argument. That is worse than Clark letting Pa Kent get sucked up into a tornado. James.
This is sounding a bit of a disaster.
What the hell? Yeah, that's what I assumed the moment he said that. I was like, I'm sure at the end of the movie, they'll at least make it to where, like, that's not what the original message said, right? Apparently not. Apparently in this new DC universe, Superman's parents were just like, yeah, go fucking conquer him. Go conquer him, rule over him, have a bunch of kids. Like, did they even care if he had consent? They were, what the hell? Were they just like, yeah, these are like ants, these are insects, go rule over. What the hell? Jor-El was a scientist. He's the only scientist who was willing to go against Brainiac. What are you doing? How are you gonna tell the Brainiac Jor-El story now if we do Brainiac in, like, the sequel? Oh, come on. Whatever, man. What a stupid thing to do.
James Gunn has his wheelhouse, and I think he should stay in it because I haven't seen him evolve as a director. As a matter of fact, I've seen him devolve because the one thing his films are known for is heart and soul, something Superman is devoid of. It was a generic movie with some good and some sloppy directing. It looked like it was hastily edited and re-edited. The occasional callback to the John Williams theme was the only thing that reminded you that this film had a score. That sounded like it was produced on Fruity Loops. And this is why no one will ever stop talking about Dick Donner's Superman, a film that made generations believe a man could fly, something no one to this day at DC or Hollywood believes. It's not like they didn't try, I just don't think they know how. The proof is in the pudding, but if you want to prove me wrong in your next film, put in Truth, Justice, and the American Way, because the only place on earth that has a problem with that phrase is Hollywood. I think this is going to be a film where you either love it or hate it, and I am right in the middle. I am completely apathetic. I walked out of the theater feeling nothing, which is a complete failure for a Superman movie. And that doesn't bode well for a cinematic universe that isn't going to have Batman in it for quite some time. But not to worry, you're going to follow this up with Peacemaker Season 2 and Supergirl. Good luck. And it's too late now, but the biggest concern came to fruition. Maybe you should have focused on just doing a Superman movie that focuses on Superman before even thinking about a cinematic universe. But I might be in the minority, to be fair. After the fan screenings, the general consensus seems to be pretty positive, and that it's solid, but not a home run. Something Warner Brothers and DC desperately needed. And yes, of course, absolutely, they're going to take the win however they get it. But it's not just the DC universe that needed Superman to be a giant global phenomenon. It's the superhero film, whose fate will be decided this month. And next up is the Fantastic Four. Listen, I wanted to like this. I wanted it to be a triumph. I wanted it to elicit tears. I wanted it to feel like a comic book leaping off the page instead of feeling like I was just leafing through an uninteresting one. I wanted it to be the best Superman movie ever made. I wanted to walk out of that theater feeling so good I would walk back in and watch it again.
And I want a toilet made out of solid gold, but it's just not in the cards now, is it?
Instead, the only thing I'm going to remember from Superman's James Gunn is Lara and Jor-El sending the last son of Krypton to conquer Earth, start a harem, and spread his seed.
Dirterotic.com.
I don't even know. How do we even respond to that? Copper? Like, what in...
That was a horrible decision.
My God. They're gonna make Superman's parents be like, yes, go conquer Earth, you villain. Wow. And he keeps saying it, and I can't quite believe it. What do you mean Supergirl is somehow in this movie and calls Superman a bitch? What do you mean? Ugh. Well, I feel we have to go see it now, just to see if it's really the train wreck that it sounds.
That everyone says it is.
Yeah. Let's see what the Guardian had to say about it. They said Superman, is it a bust? Is it a pain? James Gunn's dim reboot is both. The Man of Steel, right? Man. The Man of Steel, played with square-faced soullessness by David Cornsweet, has an uninteresting crisis of confidence in Gunn's cluttered, pointless franchise restarter. Here is a film occupying the heart-sinking Venn diagram overlap between franchise exhaustion and AI soullessness. A film fatally unconceived of the unconvinced of the reason for its own existence. Wow. We'd all hoped that writer-director James Gunn, who was in charge of Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy movie series, might put some wind back beneath Superman's wings, or in his cape, or under his boots, or at any rate, somewhere near his costumed person. The Man of Steel needed a fresh start after his self-canceling contest in Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice in 2016, and getting muddled together with a lot of other utility superheroes in Justice League. Well, I don't really like you calling the rest of the Justice League utility superheroes. I'm going to be really honest that. Peter, you may have just lost me right there. What? Excuse me? Don't say that. I don't want to hear that about Wonder Woman. I don't actually ever want to hear you say that about Wonder Woman. Like, ever. You're just wrong. Though I will admit to enjoying the pure hubristic craziness of the lengthy Zack Snyder cut of that movie when it saw the light of day. I actually will agree with that, although I don't think that the Snyder cut is like a great movie or anything. I like it way more than the Joss Whedon Justice League we got. I like it way more than that. But this, if it was to be a reboot, then really we needed to get back to basics. Could not agree more. And be reminded why we like superheroes in the first place. And remember why they were exciting and escapist and fun. We needed the clarity and simplicity of something like the origin myth of the infant Superman arriving here from his doomed planet, like Moses, destined to put heart back into an America hit by a Great Depression. Hokey it all may be. Yet from the very beginning, this new Superman is encumbered by a pointlessness and cluttered new backstory, which has to be explained in many wearisome intertitles flashed up on screen before anything happens at all. Only the repeated and laborious quotation of the great John Williams theme from the 1978 original reminds you of happier times. Superman played with square-faced vanilla dullness of Jesus Christ, Peter.
Oh, God.
Has recently taken it upon himself to intervene in a war between two fancifully named fictional nation-states. Why this war in particular, and none of the many others happening all over the globe, you ask? Perhaps because these countries are so palpably made up and without inconvenient political associations and implications. The evil aggressor, Boravia, conceivably like Putin's Russia, but not really, has invaded the nice people of Jarampur, possibly resembling Zelensky's Ukraine, but not so as you'd notice. Superman had flown in to help the Jarahanapurans out, stalling the Boravian advance, but at personal cost to himself. He had his superhero ass mortifyingly kicked by some sort of meta-human being, occasionally another of his very uninteresting crises of confidence. His opponent was ostensibly from Boravia, but possibly under the control of the wicked Lex Luthor, who insultingly affects not to know what planet Superman comes from, and has perhaps contrived the whole Boravian and Janapur contest to undermine his arch enemy. Interesting. Meanwhile, in his civilian persona of the Daily Planet reporter Clark Kent, Superman finds himself in a serious relationship difficulty with fellow journalist Lois Lane, in which role Rachel Brosnan channels Courtney Cox's Monica Geller from TV's Friends with such eerie precision it's difficult to believe it's not deliberate. Skylar Gasindo tries his best with the role of junior reporter Jimmy Olsen. That formidable actor Wendell Pierce is underused, or in fact simply not used, as Planet editor Perry White. and as Green Lantern, head of the subordinate semi-comic Justice Gang, Nathan Fillion raises some smiles. Yet, whatever machinations Lex Luthor gets up to, the iconic truth is that what undermines Superman in the eyes of the whole world is not anything he plans, but a belated revelation about what his parents, Jor-El and Lara, really intended. They changed Lara's last name. Wait. Excuse me? Is this real? Is that from the comics? It's her maiden name. Okay. Well, that's a strange change, don't you think?
A little bit.
Why? Why does Lara have her maiden? This is all weird. Why did you mess with Lara and Jor-El? Why did you even mess with that? Huh. What they really intended for Superman on Earth, which leads to his facing a terrible crisis exploited by the loathsome Luthor. But what is the point of a film so stymied in its digitally encoded and generically prescribed world that it can't even go through the motions as that would imply some level of activity and signs of life? How many more superhero films in general, and Superman films in particular, do we need to see that all end with the same spectacular faux apocalypse in the big city with CGI skyscrapers collapsing? They were fun at first, but the thrill is gone. Superman is released on the 10th of July in Australia and 11th in the UK. And today for everybody in America. I don't think Peter liked it.
No, I would have to agree with that assumption.
Yeah, I think Mr. Bradshaw did not like it with his 2 out of 5 stars. But that's why I wanted to play this video next, because Disparu, this YouTuber just absolutely cracks me up, guys. Like, he makes me laugh all the time. He is just a British man that is just not happy with things. And my favorite of his videos are when he finds a show that is like really bad. Like Robin Hood is a good example. It's a show I hope no one's heard of, but if you have, it's really terrible. I highly recommend you watch his videos where he goes episode by episode. He takes on a whole new form when he's like reviewing things that is like really, really bad, because he actually loves bad content. Like, he views it as a comedy and he loves it. But he's gonna look at like different reviews of it, so I think this will be an interesting one. We'll see how much we watch in it.
Superman reviews are out, and it seems it's either the best Superman film you've ever seen, or you can't stand the thing and it's absolute ass. The reviews really do range from utterly charmless, as funny as a toothache, this migraine of a movie is superhero soup, James Gunn's
This migraine of a movie is superhero soup. The question has tormented comic book fans for months. How will this new reboot, the 9th Superman movie of the modern era, a series that started with Christopher Reeve in '78, great movie if anybody has not watched it, and you are in the mood for a good superhero movie, something you and I, Copper, may actually do, especially if we go watch this one and we do not like it. It's like, okay, let's go watch the original Superman and enjoy ourselves.
I'm okay with that.
Indigestible mush. Is it a bust? Is it a pain? James Gunn's dim reboot is both. But that's countered by not only the best Superman movie, but the best comic book movie of the last few years. And James Gunn gives DC the glow-up they needed in 2025. I'm not sure that using Superman and glow-up in the same sentence is that much of a compliment, but that's the way it was intended.
Giving them a little bit of that.
It's a bald off. 3, 2, 1. Bald. Even though you're bald, you still have ears. Give him some dome. Looks like a mouse run over by a car.
You give me nothing to work with! We even had celebrations that IGN gave it an 8. Wonderfully entertaining, heartfelt cinematic reset. James Gunn will carry us through any storytelling corners he's cutting. Even in the good reviews, there are caveats. James Gunn is dense. Bald! Sorry, no, Superman is a dense and at times overwhelming adventure, but it feels like the right one for the moment. Now, it's worth pointing out that IGN's 8 means that although it is good, and they do like it, it's still not as good as Willow. I think that has to be pointed out. Willow, still a much better piece of entertainment.
He will not let this go. My God, he has been on this for like 3 years. I remember when they announced they were gonna do a Willow show, and he did a whole video talking about how he loves the Willow movie that George Lucas, the guy who made Star Wars, made in the 80s. He absolutely adores it, and he will not let go. They made this horrible show. He is also like that with Wheel of Time. He's a massive Wheel of Time fan, and he just cannot let go that they did a bad job with it. I can't believe IGN gave the Willow show a 9. It was supposed to have 2 seasons and it got canceled. How good can it be if it got canceled like that? I mean, this isn't like a Firefly situation where it's like network television and it's really the fans' fault and we all feel bad and everybody's clamoring for years to bring Firefly back so we get the Serenity movie. No, they canceled Willow and no one ever talked about it again.
Than James Gunn's Superman. That's why I like IGN. They've got taste.
Taken me a long time to figure out who I am.
Could you stop heavy breathing, please? It's really distracting.
I knew from the moment that I saw you that there was something special inside of you.
Was it you? She's even looking at me. Did you really say that? I mean, come on.
I admit I'm disappointed.
The cameraman wasn't there, was he? But if you have to something that is equivalent, so you know where the quality bar lands, well, Superman is just about as good as She-Hulk. So if you like She-Hulk, you're in for a banger here.
There's a hot chick over there. I'm gonna go talk to it.
Sorry, I'm sad and I'm lonely.
Screen Rant seemed to come out with one of the most positive ones, where he said, I had high hopes for the DC universe, and James Gunn spectacularly managed to surpass them. James Gunn seems to be central to a lot of the reviews, but featuring in the titles all the time. It's actually quite rare when you talk about a movie, that unless there's some identity they really want to push to the forefront, they keep banging on about the creators. I see the creators of the show more like a chef who's making a steak. As long as the steak's nice, I don't really care who cooked it. In fact,
yeah, you know, that's a really good point, right? Because, like, let's take, like, Christopher Nolan. Everybody, like, who saw Oppenheimer, I think, for the most part, liked it. And whenever he talked about Oppenheimer, like, we're not... Yes, we mentioned Christopher Nolan and that he did a wonderful job, but there's also a ton of talk about Cillian Murphy and Emily Blunt and, you know, a lot of the cinematography that went into the whole thing. Like, it's a really good movie and does a lot of really interesting things, but you're not hearing, it's not like everybody was like, Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. Like, you never heard that. That was not how the media talked about it. It's not how anybody talked about it. And Christopher Nolan's one of the best directors working right now. So that is odd that everybody seems to be focusing so heavily on the guy who made the movie and not necessarily the movie itself.
Well, that's because of his reputation. Like, they're probably using his name to, like, fluff up the movie.
Like a marketing push?
Yeah.
Yeah, like they're like, ooh, make sure everybody attaches James Gunn to it because people associate James Gunn with the Guardians movies and they like those, so they'll go see this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? That's the same thing could be said for Christopher Nolan, but you know, he doesn't need to do that for his movies. Because he's Christopher Nolan.
Exactly. Exactly.
I would prefer not to know. But James Gunn made himself central to this movie and central to the marketing of it, which seems to be one of the signs of whether you will like this movie or not. Even Grace Randolph thought that James Gunn was damaging this movie a bit, which is when James Gunn gets out of the way and lets his work speak for itself. It's incredible. Now, there is one thing which did not divide the fans. There's one part of the marketing that everyone can get behind, and that is the red carpet itself. Every time a movie has a red carpet, you get scenes like this, and every time I have the same question. Why didn't they dress like that in the movie? You wanted people to like Lois, she should have been in that. And when you see the rest of the cast on the red carpet, it just gets worse. And by worse, I mean better. I shouldn't be watching the premiere thinking, the people that designed those dresses should have designed the superhero costumes.
Okay.
When they want their next job, they look like
Make
that.
sure you
But when
show
they're in the
them
movie,
too.
you uglify them as much as possible. Actually quite impressive. You should employ whoever designed that dress to make your costumes.
weird
And then
dress.
whoever decided to turn Isabella from this into this should be in prison. That should genuinely be a crime.
I don't agree with that at all. I don't agree with that. I mean, I guess it's not low cut like in the comics, but like it's not bad. I think they did a good job. It looks better than Superman's costume. It looks better than Superman.
I'll agree with that. Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's bad. I don't know. I don't want Hawk Girl to look like she's like a model. I don't want her to look like she's on the red carpet. I don't agree, Dis. I don't agree with this.
In entertainment. It is the ultimate when we dress ourselves versus when Hollywood dresses. Even the CW had a better costume
Yeah, well, that's a
than
more
you.
accurate version, right? Like, because that's the only real difference is they didn't give her the low cut. But that's just because it's in the comics, and let's just be honest, it's only in the comics because it was written in a time period where you objectified women like that, even in comic books. Nowadays, I don't need that, personally. I don't need that.
Pissing CW! You probably knocked off tens of millions of dollars. Hollywood, you desperately need to employ straight men in your marketing team. Superman's marketing
he's
proves
actually
that, but
not
they also
wrong.
need
It's
control
sad
over
to
how
say,
movies
but,
look.
like, it probably would have made more money if they made the women dress like that. I don't think it would have been for the right reasons, but it probably would have made more.
Much more consistent with the size, very tight.
If I'm anything, I'm consistent with my size.
Bald! Remember the Transformers movie?
Pretty impressive, Sam. It squirts. It looks like your distributor cap's a little.
That scene wasn't chosen because men like talking about distributor caps. Now, Superman is launching the DCU. It needs to be a success.
Okay,
as this will be a
touche,
high
sir.
watermark for the rest of the universe. And in 2025, superheroes so far have remained shaky and the budgets are way too high for what they're pulling in. Minecraft did gangbusters, but the others, not so much. As it is, depending on what numbers you go off, the movie is looking to launch to around
Minecraft's not a superhero movie. Why was Minecraft one of their pictures? It's not even a superhero movie. Silly.
200 million plus. With maybe 100 million domestic, 130 million domestic. And I think something to bear in mind is it launched in America, I think yesterday. Whereas in the UK, it's not launching until Friday. So the domestic box office will be much wider than internationals. Now, some cause for concern is when James Gunn came out and it's like, it doesn't need to make 700 million or something in order to be a hit. That's just nonsense. It doesn't need to be as big of a situation as people are saying. And I would say that this is just setting expectations. And he wouldn't be going, it doesn't need to make 700 million if he thought it was easily going to make over 700 million. Although I do think that saying it's not that big a deal, not a big situation if the movie fails, is just pure cope. It's like if the Minecraft movie had failed, it would have been bad for game movies because Minecraft is the largest gaming IP. If the biggest name you have fails, that is bad news for all of your smaller IPs. When you look at more aggregate scores of the reviews though, the 96% you can basically ignore. It's only from 1,000 ratings because it has to go through a website, you have to jump through a load of hoops. When Rotten Tomatoes locked down that score so much, it's basically meaningless now. I couldn't review that because I buy my tickets at the cinema to go into the cinema. That's how stupid the audience score is. But when it comes to the critics score, holding strong at 85%, so that means 85% of people think this movie is above a 5. Whereas over on Metacritic, you have a 70 or 46 critic reviews. And of course, people immediately started to rub it in Snyder's face. I don't have a dog in that fight. I just find the fight funny. I don't really care who wins. I just like watching it. I get the same kind of enjoyment out of that as I do watching Ironheart fight in a kitchen. This review, what I say, I'll keep spoiler free. It doesn't mean things may not be in the articles, so if you don't want spoilers, I advise you not to read the screen. It's always interesting when these movies have polar opposite views, as you often find that the reviews they give are the same. They talk about the same events, the same thing that happens, the same character development, often the same problems. It just tends to be how much those problems annoy them at that time. And so when it comes to the more middling reviews from Variety, you can find those problems down at the bottom. The super busy quality of Superman is what works for it, and at times against it. The The movie rarely slows down long enough for its characters to mediate on their shifting realities. Gunn constructs an intricate game of superhero saga that's arresting and touching and occasionally exhausting in equal measure. Superman reverts to an almost enchanting state of childlike wonder. Superman is the most comic book movie ever, for better and for worse. The film seems so devoted to creating a sense of outside otherworldliness that it tips over into Uncanny Valley. Bright primary colors feel freakish and cartoony. It has an abominable visual style, shot like an 8-year-old's dream of a comic book. Fisheye lenses which only serve to disorientate the viewer. It's a baffling cinematic experience, overloaded with stuff, not just subplots and twists, but fully fledged character arcs. Watching Superman is like turning into the finale of a TV show you haven't seen, or switching on halfway through an episode. Crowded, chaotic. Those are the more professional style of critique, where you're on about the camera equipment, the framing of it, the color palette of a movie. None of these things I think would bother me too much, or nor would being overstuffed. I like the John Wick movies, and that's just action from start to finish. I'm not sure having too many things would really bother me about a movie. The problem for me is if they don't go anywhere. Like there was a scene they released where they spend 30 seconds talking about his glasses.
He wears hypno glasses. They make his face look different.
I often feel I have a different definition of what overstuffed means. It's not overstuffed if it has a lot of characters that never do anything. Now, Sean Chandler said, and once he pointed it out, I couldn't stop noticing it, a high percentage of the Rotten ratings are coming from UK critics. Things like funny as a toothache, superhero soup. Gunn's approach to the nerdosphere is like a giddy amnesiac who has missed the precipitous rise and fall of multi-character superhero movies, and is instead stuck in the 2010s. It plods dutifully along with some ironic genre gags that would have been cut from even the weakest episode of the satire The Boys. There are glimmers of intrigue, quirks, and curios. There's a belabored running gag about the Office gopher Jimmy Olsen being irresistible to women. Bald! But can they alter the fate of the universe and make better superhero movies? If only. Even The Guardian didn't like it, and they like communism. Square-faced soullessness. An uninteresting crisis of confidence in Gunn's cluttered, pointless franchise restarter. Noticing the patterns of even the people that liked it and disliked. Oh, there's too much in the movie though. It's the commonalities between the positive and negative reviews that I like, as that allows you, rather than trusting any of their certain opinion, to work out how big of a problem they are for you, and then make your own informed decision. This is a film occupying the heart-sinking Venn diagram between franchise exhaustion and AI soullessness. A film fatally unconvinced of the reason for its own existence. We really needed to get back to basics, remind us why we liked them in the first place. It should have been exciting, escapist, and fun. We needed clarity, simplicity, something destined to put the heart back into America. Yet this is encumbered with pointless and cluttered new backstory. Remember backstory, the thing that James Gunn said he was going to avoid? Oh, we don't need the origin stories, we could just jump in at the interesting bit. Which is what I wanted, and then you've got to have 50 different characters giving you backstory.
He was in the Amazon with my mom when she was researching spiders right before she died.
Only the repeated and laborious quotation of John Williams' theme reminds you of happier times. What is the point of a film so stymied in its digitally encoded and generically prescribed world that it can't even go through the motions, as that would imply some level of activity and signs of life? How many more superhero films in general, with some faux apocalypse in the middle of a big city? Okay, this is just coming across like you don't like superhero movies. I'm not sure
Peter
that this in particular is a criticism of Superman compared to I'm fed up of these movies. It's kind of just, look, please don't make me review any more of them, I beg you. Even when moving away from sort of the media outlets to more of a YouTube sphere though, Yellow Flash says Superman was great, nothing woke, and the immigrant thing was BS. It's a fun comic book movie, and unapologetically so. Someone else said, I liked it. Some stuff I didn't really care for, but was good overall. Few parts felt oddly out of place, but I think that's fair. It's a very silly movie. Reactions are going to be split. I thought it was fun, but if you didn't like Gunn's work before, you won't like this. The comment that said you'll either love or hate Superman is true. Kids will probably love it, and that dog is going to sell a lot of merch. Yeah, that explains why all the marketing had a certain demographic in mind.
Gonna take this, and give you...
a princess.
Put a dog on screen. I don't have any babies myself. Or Garrett, this movie will be polarizing. I didn't like it purely for filmmaking reasons, but I'm glad we can get back to that kind of discourse about a movie. Superman allows you to get hyped with all the bright colors, but it narratively falters. And it wasn't woke, but it was a total disappointment. When it comes to me, I am not impressed by James Gunn at all. I really like Guardians of the Galaxy 1. I hated 2, then I watched 3 2 days ago. I was like, bald. Glad I missed this. The only appealing part to me was the flashback scenes, and they made me hate Rocket. So, I don't think they had the effect they intended. Well, I find Flash's comment interesting. If you didn't like Gunn's work, you won't like this. And I have a feeling that might explain the English reviews of things like, it's as funny as a toothache. One of the reasons I don't like James Gunn movies is the humor is ass. It's not funny. It's like anti-funny. Now, I largely don't get American humor as a whole, so a lot of the time I don't know whether it's actually not funny or it's just not my kind of thing. But James Gunn just isn't funny. He's like Taika Waititi. If someone says they find him funny, I question their mental state.
What you least expect that you're going to want to see is Thor going through a midlife crisis.
Huh, okay, cool.
And I think that has something to do with the UK reviews of the movie, because James Gunn humor is the antithesis of British humor. You can't get further away, and so it comes across as painful. Then again, the San Francisco Chronicle didn't like it either, so, you know, maybe he's just not funny. And marketing for Superman has been all over the place. Even Google got involved. Heavily focused on the dog because they know what their target demographic is. Not the one that'll turn up in the movie, but it's the one Hollywood's desperately wanted for years that doesn't watch superhero movies. Maybe this time they'll go because there's a dog in it. Then maybe next time they'll go because Baby Yoda's in it. Then maybe next time they'll go because there's a baby of something else in it. Can't imagine what they want. They hate babies. How is David Corenswet as Superman in the reboot? He essentially features so little, it's hard to tell. Rarely has an actor appeared in virtually every scene of a film while barely being in the thing at all. If that's true, I consider that to be a big negative in the movie. Because one of the only things that the very effeminate marketing of this movie has managed to do has make me like the three main actors. Corenswet especially has been dodging PR questions like Neo himself and putting out fires all over the place, despite others pointing nuclear weapons at their own feet.
If you don't like that, then you're not American. People who say no to immigrants are against the American way.
Truth, justice, and the American way.
Absolutely.
Oh, James has said that Superman is an immigrant story, that it is political. MAGA today was getting a little upset that he called Superman an immigrant. I wanted to get your reaction.
Somebody needs a hug. It's just a movie, guys. It's just a movie.
There is a lot of Superman action, but precious little of the shy, bumbling Clark Kent, the similarly misused, although not underused, Rachel Brosnahan. But nothing escapes the deafening tumult of a rolling apocalypse. CGI further increasing the dislocation and confusion. This is a guy that didn't like Snyder either, before anyone goes, Snyder bro! Hawkgirl, Green Lantern, Metamorpho, and Mr. Terrific are all perfectly tolerable. The tone is, as you'd expect, just like Guardians of the Galaxy, endlessly larkish and sophomoric. It's nice that he clears space for Crypto, but the Mutt's exploits are so...
and sophomoric? Excuse me? Do we know what those words mean? Playfully mischievous. Larkish means playfully mischievous and lighthearted. Wow, that's cool. Sophomoric. Relating to or characteristic of a sophomore. Intriguing.
So blandly digital. There's a few hilariously misguided references to punk rock in a movie costing over $225 million, but the cartoonish closing battles make it clear that, not for the first time, Gunn is striving for high trash, but what he achieves is low garbage, utterly charmless, devoid of humanity, and as funny as a toothache. And I think that last bit is some of the more damning criticism, as that is what James Gunn kept saying. Oh, this movie is about hope. We need hope and kindness and humanity. But I've seen his previous movies. It's what you'd show a 3-year-old on E-numbers. If you do like James Gunn movies, this seems like more of the same. It's just I have a feeling I'll be more with the Irish Times when it comes to this one. Even places like Entertainment Weekly say the actors are great, but it's the script that's kryptonite. Superman is less superpowered than we'd hoped. Everyone keeps complaining about skipping the origin story. I don't care. Start at the action bit. Your movie should explain who the characters are just via their actions. Every day we go outside and meet thousands of people we've never met before. They don't go, bald, hi, I used to do this as I don't care. The things that you're doing now should tell me what you are. It even says it's the story about why he's discovering his humanity. The core of who he is his best asset. Except, reviews are saying it doesn't have any. See what I mean about contradictory? But I think if you like James Gunn stuff, you'll probably think it's loads of heart, loads of it.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it there. I think we've seen a lot here, and we have a really good idea of like what's going on with this film and why it's being reviewed the way that it is. It really seems like it depends on how highbrow you want the writing to be in this movie. So I might clip this part for anybody, but what's the word on Superman? It seems if you want a fun, action-packed movie that's not very deep, it's just fun, it's going to be entertaining and enjoyable, and you get to see some superheroes and superpowers, this is going to be the movie for you. If you want some deep look into Superman's humanity and, you know, how it all works in his head, I think that's what they tried to do, but it doesn't sound like from the critics that that's what they accomplished. So, yeah, I can understand. I could see this being one of those movies that makes a good amount of money and is somewhat successful, but it just seems like it'll divide things a little bit. You know, it's going to be, some people are going to like it, some people aren't. Which I agree with the sentiment of, you know, I'm glad we're getting back to that, because it's been a lot of movies in a row where it's just been like, wow, that just looks really bad, or nobody wants to go see it or anything. So I'm glad we can get back to, well, how is it as a film? And it's like, well, as a film, not the best, but entertaining nonetheless. If that's the true takeaway, then not that bad. But I'll score it myself, and I will go see this film. We'll get Copper's score in mind, and we'll just kind of take a look at it. But thank you to anybody who tuned in today. Copper, you got any like last thoughts or anything you want to say? What's the word on Superman from the critics?
I would not go into it expecting to give it high remarks. Like, just have a very low, mid to low expectation bar.
Yeah, that definitely seems like a smart thing for everybody to do, and definitely us as we go see it.
Yeah.
Maybe on Sunday. So I will be probably making a review here soon. Thank you to anybody who tuned in for this. You now know what the word is on Superman, and I'll let you know what my individual thoughts are a little bit later. But thank you all for tuning in, and